viewers, I'm delighted to welcome you to another episode of The Journey. On the program, we bring to you testimonies of what God is doing in the lives of ordinary people. And our episode today is the story of a man who journeyed from hopelessness to finding fulfillment. Let's find out who this man is on The Journey.
All of my days, I will follow you, follow you. All of my life, I will look to you, look to you. This is the journey I'm on. You pave the road I can walk on and chase after you with all my heart. This is the journey I'm on. You pave the road I can walk on and chase after you with all my heart.
My name is Isaac Opanachi. I am a private legal practitioner practicing here in Abuja. I originally come from Kogi State, from Ofu local government to be specific. And the name of my village is Ejule. I completed my primary school education in 1970 at St. Martin's Primary School, Ejule. From there, I proceeded to St. Peter's College at Ida, where I finished in 1975. After that, I taught as a teacher for 1 year. Eventually, went to Muritala College of Arts, Science and Technology in Makurdi. 1976 to 78, I was in the first set. Eventually, from MUCAST, I gained admission to Faculty of Law, University of Lagos. From there went to law school, 1981-82. I was called to the bar in July, on the 20th of July, 1982. Eventually served in Yola, worked in Kano for 7 years, came to Abuja in 1990, and I've remained here in practice as a lawyer since 1990 in Abuja here. For me, growing up in the village was a typical life of a village boy. My father was a trader, at the same time a farmer. My mother was a full-time housewife, but she made akara for sale. So I would sell akara in the morning around the village when it was time to go to school. I came home, prepared, and went to school. Came back from school at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. During school times, when it's holiday time, is to go to farm and make ridges, clear the ridges when the weeds grow. I do actually remember the first time I saw elephants in my life was on our farm. One day, this was something like 1967, 68, we were on our farm, and suddenly we had something like a horn, the horn of a vehicle, blowing, pop. As we looked in the direction of the sound, we saw the whole bush moving. The whole of the bush was moving. And as we looked, we saw it was a huge company of elephants. If you looked, you could say 20 to 40 elephants moving across, because there was a river somewhere down from our farm. Or if nobody had time to pick anything, we just picked rest and ran away from the farm that day. But we saw a huge company of elephants for the first time. I saw elephants with my eyes in my village. So it's one of those experiences that stand out very clearly for me, growing up as a child. One last thing I'd like to mention, these are the days of COVID. The reason I'm not afraid of COVID, when I was about 7 years old, measles came to our village. All the children of my age fell ill with measles. And children were dying. People were crying. Every family, somebody would die today, somebody would die the following day, another person would die. Now, when children, those who survived, got healed of measles, how you will know that they got over the illness, their skins will start peeling. Yes, the skins will start peeling. When the skins of those children started peeling, my own skin started peeling. I never laid down in bed one day. I never suffered. I never took one tablet. I never went to hospital. Nobody gave me anything. But when their skins were peeling, my own started peeling also. So I knew that God had a hand in my life, growing up like that. Yeah. So if I look back, the family, we had nothing, but we had food to eat and all of that. God helped us. We grew up. My father had 6 children, 2 girls ahead of me. I'm the first boy. Then 2 girls after me, and then the last boy. As I told you before, I went to secondary school at St. Peter's College, Ida. Now, let me say a few things about my going to school there. St. Peter's College is at Ida. And if you know the geography of Nigeria, Ida is on the eastern bank of River Niger, facing Edo State on the other side, facing directly Aganebodi on the other side. Ida is on the east, Aganebodi is on the west. Now, my village, where I grew up, this Ejule, where I grew up now, is 33 miles away from Ida. There is no river in our village. So growing up as a child, I never learned how to swim because there's no river in our village. Now, when I was going to school, my father had only one fear. Because in those days, when anybody drowned in the river at Ida, somehow the story will go around Igala land. You know, River Niger is passing Ida now. So anytime somebody drowned in the river, somehow the story will go around in Igala land. We will hear somebody drowned last week, somebody drowned 4 days ago, or somebody drowned in the river yesterday. The story will just go around. We will hear. So when I was going to a day secondary school at Ida, my father had only one fear, that his first son will one day go and play a fool and go to River Niger and drown. So he pulled my ear, warned me never to go near the river. I said, yes, sir, what am I doing there? So when I was in Form 1, I never went near the river at all. I didn't go there. What for? But in 1972, I'm now in Form 2, March 1972, 5 of my friends were on their way to River Niger to go to, well, whatever. They came to our house to invite me. Quickly, I carried my bucket, my dirty clothes, carried soap, and I followed them. I didn't forget what my father told me. When we got to the river, I saw that the edge of the river, if you stand inside it, will not even come to your ankle. So I stood there, minding my business, washing my clothes. I didn't come there to swim. I was just washing my clothes there by the edge of the river. Then, Friday. Friday is the name of a boy from my village who came to Form 1 in St. Peter. I'm talking about January. The boy came to school in January 1972. I'm talking about March 1972. I'm in Form 2 now. We used to start school in January in those days. Friday jumped inside River Niger and Friday started swimming. River Niger. 2 questions came to my mind as I was standing by the side of the river washing my clothes. When did Friday learn how to swim? In any case, where was I when Friday learned how to swim? While I was debating this issue in my mind, one of my own classmates pointed at me and said, Isaac, you are a lazy man. You're lazy. 2 years you have been here, you cannot swim. This boy that came yesterday, he's swimming. You are lazy. And I told them, you think I cannot swim? Because I don't want to swim? They said, if you can swim, show us. See river, show us. People, you know what is called foolish pride? A Form 1 student jumped inside the river, he's swimming. You said you are in Form 2. You cannot swim. I said I have to square up to Friday today. Now let me tell you about Friday. Friday was actually my classmate in primary school. In the north here, we used to do 7 years in primary school before going to college. But if you're a brilliant student, you pass from class 6. I passed from class 6. So academically, I thought myself better than Friday because I went to college ahead of him. Now, when I was in class 6, I was goalkeeper of the second 11. If you don't know, that's a major achievement because everybody knew you, particularly the girls. Everybody knew you. I was goalkeeper of second 11. So sports-wise, I thought myself better than Friday. Now, Friday jumped inside River Niger. Friday is swimming. And they are challenging me that I'm a lazy man. I told them, do you think I cannot swim? Because I don't want to swim? They said, if you can swim, show us. See river, show us. This is how I took 3 steps back. Jumped into the river and I sank straight to the bottom like a stone would. All was in my effort to square up to Friday. People, you know that before river carries you away, river will show you to the world 3 times. You will hit the bottom of the river, you will come out. But before you can shout, you sink again. You will come out a second time. Before you can shout, you sink again. If you come out 3 times and nobody helps you, you know you are a dead person. Yes. Yours truly was thrown up 3 times. And I sank. And you know, once you start struggling like that, if you are coming out, you are not coming out where you enter the river. The river is already carrying you away because the river is flowing. You are going into the deeper and the deeper parts of the river. It happened to me. After some time, I saw myself on the sand. What happened? The best boy in our class, for whose sake I joined the 5 of them to come to the river, jumped inside the river after me when he saw I was struggling. And you know that the most dangerous thing anybody can try to do is to save somebody who is drowning. If you don't know your onions, none of you will come out. Professor Paul Omaji was Vice Chancellor of Salem University. That is in Lokoja today. Now he's the Vice Chancellor of the Maritime University somewhere in Bayelsa State today. That was the person that jumped inside the river to save my life. How he did it, I cannot tell you, but I saw myself on the ground. Now, to tell you the truth, this thing happened to me when I was in Form 2. I did realize that, look, God saved my life. But actually, God didn't mean anything to me. On all of this, we are going to church every Sunday. From my village to secondary school, every Sunday we are in church. We go to church every Sunday. In fact, in my village, you go in the morning, you go in the evening. You go to church twice every day. My father was an elder in the church. It was compulsory. And then family worship, family altar in the morning, family altar in the evening before we went to bed. But Jesus didn't mean anything to me. Actually meant nothing to me. We used to hear about him. We used to hear about good people going to heaven and things like that. But all of that meant nothing to me. Actually, the reason I'm saying that is nobody made me understand, for instance, that Jesus died because of me, or that I'm a sinner, or that I needed to be saved. I go to church. I never heard all of that. Now, I left secondary school in 1975, June 1975. And the principal refused to give me my testimonial. Why? Why did the principal refuse to give my testimonial? I did not pay my last term school fees. Why did I not pay my last term school fees? I actually carried my school fees to buy Indian hemp. That will tell you a lot of stories about the kind of life I lived as a secondary school student. I used my school fees to buy Indian hemp. So I went to Kaduna to look for work after school. I couldn't get any job because they would always ask me for testimonial. I didn't have a testimonial. But something happened. I left secondary school in June 1975. That same month, I went to Kaduna to look for work. I'm struggling and going from office to office. However, on the 29th of July 1975, there was a coup in this country. That was the coup that overthrew Gawan. and brought Murtala Muhammad and Obasanjo to power. And the very first program of their government was called UPE, Universal Primary Education. And they were hiring all sorts of people as primary school teachers. That was the reason I left Kaduna. I went to Ida, and I was hired as a teacher. Now, all of this time, there was no regard for Jesus in my life until the 15th of December, 1975. When I was employed as a teacher, I was posted to one village about 12 miles away from my village. So in December, all of us came home on Christmas holiday. This is the pivotal day in my life. But I will tell you that story straight away. On the 15th of December 1975, if anyone had told me I would have anything to do with Jesus of Nazareth that day, I would have told that person that you are mad. 2 o'clock, 15th of December 1975, my friend, his name is called Abu, and we went into the bush to go and smoke. We're smoking there for about 3 hours. At about 5 o'clock in the evening, I'm returning from the bush now. I'm entering my father's compound. Andrew, my uncle, but you know African uncles, Andrew is only 4 years older than me. But after his father died, that's my grandfather. My father raised him, so he was like an elder brother to me. Andrew looked me straight in the eyes as I was entering my father's compound. Red eyes. Andrew said to me, Isaac, if you were to die today, are you sure you are going to heaven? I said, die? Why should I die at the age of 17? What have I done? No, I'm not dying at 17. So this is how I dismissed what Andrew told me. Why? Why should Andrew talk to me about dying at the age of 17? What have I done? I'm reasoning to myself. I passed him, went into my room. But this question will not leave me. What if you died? Where will you spend eternity? All those times we were going to church, I clearly remember they kept saying that good people will go to heaven, bad people will go to hell. So if I died now, where will I go? If I judged myself, I knew that I had no chance of seeing God, because whatever evil young people were doing in the village, I was number one now. Every evil. Let me not go into the details. But I've told you something already. That will give you an indication I went too far from God. I know between the ages of 11, 12, and 17, there was no God in my life at all. Because my parents were not at Ida, nobody was telling me what to do. So I was an outlaw as a secondary school student, always in trouble with the principal. It didn't bother me. But Andrew asked me, what if you died? Where will you spend eternity? And for the first time in my life, I'm thinking about my life. Well, yeah, it's possible for anybody to die. But I'm only 17 years old. Why should I be thinking of it? So I will just dismiss the issue. Now, this question kept coming and going until we went to bed. In the village, you have to go to bed early. But 10 o'clock in the night, I'm lying down on the bed, unable to fall asleep. Because the question kept coming back to me, what if you died? Where will you spend eternity? Suddenly, lying on the bed, about 10 o'clock in the night, I remembered what happened to me in River Niger in 1972. That was 3 years ago. I had quite forgotten about it. I realized that I came face to face with death. I would have died at the age of 14, not knowing God at all. But I started doing evil things. I would have died. That was when I considered the answer I was giving myself, that I'm too young to die. And I saw that I came face to face with death when I was 14 years old. Now I'm 17. I'm saying it's too early to die. I saw the folly of that argument. That was the reason I stopped out of bed. Knelt by the side of my bed, soberly. I'm talking to God. Consciously, knowingly, deliberately. Like that, for the first time in my life. I'm pleading with Jesus for my life. I knew that if what Andrew said was true and I died that day, I had no chance of seeing God. I began to plead with Jesus for my life in prayer, asking for the forgiveness of my sins. After doing all of that, I climbed back into bed and fell asleep like a baby. I knew something had happened, but I couldn't put my finger on it. The following day, when the day broke and I came out of the house, I fell in love with everything I saw. I fell in love with the house. I fell in love with goats. I fell in love with sheep. I fell in love with people. I fell in love with sky. I fell in love with ground. Like I was on cloud 9. I was so happy. I felt so light. Then I began to say, what is wrong with me? Why am I feeling like this? Then I remembered I prayed a prayer last night. I prayed a prayer last night. And I realized that something happened in my life last night. People, 44 years have passed since I prayed that prayer. And for 44 years, I have single-heartedly followed Jesus. All these 44 years. And I've seen the hand of God in my life. After I gave my life to Jesus, I gained admission and went to high school. Satellite College of Arts, Science and Technology in Makurdi, 76, 78. When I went to that college, the first night I went to the college at Makurdi, capital of Benue State. My part of what is called Kogi State now used to be part of Benue State, the Gala land. I heard people singing at about 8 p.m. And I told myself, they must be Christians. So I carried my Bible. This is the first time I would belong to a Christian group. I went there, and I saw young people like myself, my classmates, something like 40 to 50 people in that hall meeting that evening. And 2 young boys came to give testimonies about Jesus. And the way they were talking about Jesus, Jesus said this to me, Jesus did that for me, Jesus made way for me, as if they were living in the same house with Jesus. And I said, yeah. Can somebody know Jesus like that? I said, okay, I know what I will do. I joined the choir. I joined the drama group. I joined the prayer group. I joined evangelism group. And of course, the Bible study, everybody was to be there every Tuesday in the evening. So that Jesus would come and say something and I'm not there. I was hungry for God. Over time, God began to lay the spiritual foundation of my life in Mukast. The FCS in Mukast was very, very strong fellowship. 1976, 78. Now, we wrote our exams. Cut a long story short, I gained admission to Faculty of Law, University of Lagos. Before I got to that point, a lot of things, but let me not bother you, why I decided to read law. Now, I was called to the bar 1982, Victoria Island, Law School, Victoria Island, Lagos. And I was posted to Yola as a copper. My youth service year came to an end on the 3rd of July, 1983. That same day, I entered aeroplane to fly from Yola to Kano because I got a job in Kano, in Chambers in Kano. How much did I pay? 15 naira to enter aeroplane from Yola to Kano. Your country was a country that time. 15 Nigerian naira, you entered aeroplane. If you carry 15,000 naira now to approach any airport, would they ask you what you are looking for? In that aeroplane, as we were flying to Kano, somewhere over Bauchi State, I fell into a trance. You know what a trance is? A trance is the elder brother of vision. Vision is what you see when you are sleeping. A trance is what you see when you are awake. Suddenly, sitting in that aeroplane, I saw something like a television screen ahead of me, in front of me. Oh, God is gracious. In that television screen, I'm the person sitting in the middle. I'm sitting in the middle. There's a crowd of people around me. In front of me, white people. To my left, white people. To my right, white people. Behind me, white people. And I'm sitting in the middle, I'm the boss. That's what I saw. You know, it's something that is less than 20 seconds of that, what I saw in front of me. So, riding in that plane, I'm thinking to myself, oh Lord, what are you showing me? Okay, I know. I'm going to Kano. And I heard that there's a big Lebanese community in Kano. God is going to do either one or two things in my life when I get to Kano. God is either going to give me a big-time business and I'll hire Lebanese people and be their boss, or God will give me a ministry. Maybe I start a church and be a pastor to Lebanese people. I spent 7 years in Kano. My paths didn't quite cross that of any Lebanese before I left. But one significant thing that happened, let you know that God plans our future ahead of time. I went to Bible study, Newi Hall. This Deeper Life Bible study, Newi Hall. New Road, Sabongeri of Kano. This was sometime in September or so, 1983. As we were waiting for the Bible study to start, two girls walked in. A white American girl and a black Igbo girl. And the Holy Spirit spoke to me here, not here. Isaac, look at that white girl, she's going to be your wife. And I said, Holy Spirit, sir, if you have anything serious that you want to say to me, I'm all ears. But a white girl, God forbid, it can never happen. People of God, after 7 years, it happened. It's a long story to tell you, but I got married to that white girl. Yeah, if you go into my house now, you see that white girl there. 30 years. 30 years she has been pursuing me. Yes. Now, God, what is significant about marrying that white girl? When we married in Kano in 1990, we moved here to Abuja. One thing led to the other until God helped us to start a school of our own. That school is called International Community School. That school is located at Daki View today. Long story short, in 1999, we started that school in 1998. 1999, we were doing Christmas carol in that school. Suddenly, as we were sitting for the Christmas carol to start, in front of me, white people. Behind me, white people. To my left, white people. To my right, white people. That school, God has prospered us. Whenever you hear of an international school, maybe 150 children, 200 children. But God has given us 560 children in that school. It's a successful school. We have hired white teachers from America, white teachers from Britain, white teachers from Sweden, white teachers from Bulgaria. We've hired Filipinos, we've hired Indians. And God has blessed us, God has favored us, God has opened doors for us. There are so many things I could tell you in my own legal practice. The victories that God has given me, they are plenty. There's no time on this station to tell you everything. I have seen the faithfulness of God. Where I am today is far from where I was before I gave my life to Jesus. Before I gave my life to Jesus, I was a member of a club called NFA. No, not Nigerian Football Association. That club is called No Future Ambition. But when I gave my life to Jesus, purpose came into my life. Direction came into my life. Discipline came into my life. Order came into my life. After 44 years, I can tell you. Time has passed. Not one stick of cigarette. Not one drop of beer. Never gone to bed with any, since that time, I've never gone to bed with any woman who is not the person I'm married to. I'm married to, God has kept me. Jesus came into my life, and I've seen direction now. If somebody should ask me today, I say, what if you died? Are you sure of going to heaven? Yes. I know where I'm going. Because I know the person to whom I've handed over my life is able to keep me until the day that the trumpet sounds. So if you have never given your life to Jesus, I'm telling you, however low you have gone, I've gone lower than you. I did worse things than you. But Jesus came into my life and I found purpose. 44 years I have followed him. 44 years I've seen the faithfulness of God. 44 years I've seen the love of God, the mercy of God, the kindness of God, and promotion that comes from God. And God can make you rich without any sorrows to it. My level has changed because God came into my life. Jesus has been a blessing to me, and as long as he gives me life, I will serve him. Before I go, let me tell you, when God began to prosper me in 2005, God instructed me to start doing medical outreaches. So every April, every August, every December, my wife and I put money together and we'll do outreaches. We've done outreaches in Kogi State, in Plateau State, in FCT here, many outreaches where we open ourselves to the crowd, to the public, everybody come in, whatever ailment, whatever difficulty they have, they bring it. We go out with doctors and nurses and lab scientists, we test them, we treat them. Those that we can operate, we operate. And we have done over 5,000 eye operations for people. Nobody, it's my wife and I, sponsoring all of these things. God has blessed us. God has made us a blessing to many, many people. Whoever you are, the reason why you are here in this world is to be a blessing to people. Let the blessing that God has blessed you touch other people's lives. If there's nobody anywhere on this globe thanking God for your life today, you are living a wasted life. May God help you to do what is right. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
And so, viewers, we've come to the end of this week's episode. I want to thank you so much for watching. But I always like to remind you before we go that you can begin your own journey right here, right now. Jesus is waiting for you with an outstretched hand. Next week, I promise to bring you another exciting package. Until then, God bless.